All right. Well, thank you. Um, Folks, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you the work that Randy and Josh and myself and Roger giving us a bunch of feedback. And we've got a bunch of people that have already been using this tool, giving us feedback. But what we've been trying to do for the past, I don't know, about 3 months, I guess, of diligent work is to make it easier for event supervisors to write tests that are standardized and they're not spending a lot of time worrying about the effort in writing the testing and actually focus on the problems that you're creating. And what we've created for this is a test builder as well as some recommendation systems built into the system. So let's start with, I'm going to use a Division B test. And the way you do this is you go to the main page. Everybody knows about the main page. Go to Test Builder. We're going to say, I want to create a Division B test. So you get a choice test type. And we can say, I'm going to do a Division B. Let's just do a Division B invitational regional test. Now, before I get started, there's something important we're going to need, and that is quotes. Quotes are always a challenge for people. To help out all the event supervisors, we have gathered approximately 80,000 quotes. We've broken them into approximately 20,000 quotes in a file that we're going to randomly distribute to people. So, as an event supervisor, we will give you access. You'll get access to about 20,000 quotes. There's a couple of reasons why we're doing it in chunks. First and foremost is we don't want you overwhelmed by so many quotes in there, but we also don't want everything to be in one place in case it gets leaked to, a student or a team. We really want to make sure that we preserve, as many of the quotes as we can. So let's talk about, we're going to take our side trip, and that is we're going to do into our quote manager. And the quote manager will allow you to keep track of both your English and your Spanish quotes. I've already loaded in the Spanish quotes, but for the English quotes, if you're a coach, you have a bunch of sample English quotes. I've taken quotes from the past, all the tests I've generated over the past, Randy and I've generated for the past 5-7 years. And they can click the download. You can see I've got the English quotes. We now can say import the quotes from a file. Before we do that, we go look at the quotes. Pull this up a second. And the quotes are just simply, you've got the author, you've got the quote. So if you come up with more quotes to add to the list, it's really, really complex. You go to the bottom of the list and you add, the name of the quote, the name and the quote that you want. So if you have a bunch of quotes that you've been gathering and you want to build them into the list, it's really easy to put them in there. There's one more special thing that you can do is if you put a third column and call it notes. You can put any kind of keyword you want here. So if you happen to get some quotes that came from a category, for example, these are quotes about science, or these are quotes or whatever, you can put that category in there, and I'll show you how that gets useful when you're generating your quotes. So we've got we're not going to save this. So what we're going to do is we're going to import our quotes, import quotes from the file, select the file that we have. Well, downloads English quotes. And we're going to import it. And it's going to go through the process of importing them. It's going to calculate a bunch of statistics about it, so it's easier for you generating the test. But now I've got all my quotes. And you can see I can come in here and say, all right, let me filter down. I want something that's going to be an easy one. So I want a chi-squared less than 20. And I want the length to be greater than 85 and less than 100. You can see that I'm generating something for an aristocrat. And let's go for something that has keywords of science in it. So now, as you can see, we have the ability to filter down the quotes in there. I'm just giving you an idea of what the system has the ability to do because we're going to take advantage of it in the test builder. So we're going to come in here. We're going to go back to our test builder now that we've gotten our quotes loaded. And Peter, you got a question?
Yeah. So when you talk about keywords right there, is this the word science has to be in in the quote, or is it using natural language processing where any scientific related quotes should be included, or any forms of the word scientific, for example?
So it is basically a plain text look. However, remember I talked about if you put in that notes column, you put a category. So if someone has identified that these are a bunch of science-related quotes that don't have the word science in it, then it will look in that notes field also. So you can think of it as kind of a tags that you apply to it.
Got it.
And a
Thanks.
number of the quotes that we've got do have tags. So it does a pretty good job of pulling things in. So we decided we're going to do, I said, I'm going to do a B invitational. And we're going to name it. So this is the sample B invitational. Now, it's going to say that an invitational should nominally have 20 questions. We've actually spent some time to think about, so if I'm doing a B invitational, a state is nominally 24 questions, and the national is, we're saying 26 questions. You can see for an Ed Division A, we got 16 questions. We're going back to our B invitational. You'll see that it says no Xenocrypts. Now, you're allowed to have a Xenocrypt on a B invitational. You can decide to do that by just making that number be a 1. Or you can be really mean. Well, you can't do it for a B invitational. You can have as many Xenocrypts as you want, but we're going to have 1, say, generate a template. And we look down here at the template. It says, all right, our time question is an easy aristocrat without a hint. We got a porta, and you'll notice it says we're going to make a porta, a cryptorhythm, and a Baconian as our special bonus. Well, you know what? I really want a complete columnar as our special bonus, and I'd like a nihilist as a special bonus. So this is what we're going to have for the test. If I don't like this mix, I can change one of them. So instead of an affine, I can go to the drop down and change something else that's legal for the test, or I can just say regenerate the template. And this time here, I actually like that. That's a pretty good one. Next, we say populate the plain text. Those quotes that we loaded, all of them get put onto here. And if for some reason I got a set of quotes and one of the quotes is something that is inappropriate, probably shouldn't have been on the list. I mean, when you have that many quotes, something will sneak in, either inappropriate because of wording or concept. But when you do that, if you click this ban button, the little red ban button, you'll never see that quote show up again out of your list. But in this case here, I'm going to just be very straightforward. I'm just going to pick the first one, the Caesar cipher. I'm happy with the second one because it's got a single letter in it because I want to make it easy. Aristocrat, I'm going to get in here. Okay, I got a misspelled one. I'm just going to simply use the first ones on the list. Not even going to think about it here. Except the cryptorhythm, we'll have to use the cryptorhythm generator. Baconian letter for letter. Misspelled. And very important about the misspelled, well, I'll talk to you about when we do it, but it picks different quotes for the misspelled, things that have lots of homonyms in them and replaceable words. So I'm going to go Baconian words. We're going to use that. I'm just straightforward, not even going to use any common sense here, not even looking at anything. I'm just going to take all of these quotes in here. Porta, complete columnar, and we have now built a test. Well, we built the basis of a test. Next, now that we've done that, we can save the test, or if you're like Randy and myself, we like to create different tests for each of the regions in North Carolina. So we're tasked with creating 7 tests. Randy does 7 B tests, I do 7 C tests plus an A test. What you can do is you can click Save a Copy, and it will save the test, and we're going to do that. And now I can come back here and I can change the type, test 2, and then I can repopulate, and I'll come up with new quotes for everything, and then I can come back in here and pick new quotes for each of these. So if you're doing a bunch of tests that you want to be nominally equivalent, this is a way of making them so that they have the same makeup. But we're not going to do a second test. We've done our one test. We're going to go into our test manager. And we've done our test sample B invitational. So next, we want to go in and we need to make the test be a viable test. So we need to edit it. So this is an easy aristocrat. We're going to randomize our letters in here. But we need to get the question text. Now we've got this suggest question. And how many points should it be? Well, it says based on the analysis, this should be somewhere between 255 and 303 points. There's a little bit of randomness in here, but it's not a bad thing. It says 282 points. We're going to take it. I am done with that question. I'm on to the next one. An at bash. Again, with the at bash, it's going to tell me, it gives me choices. Well, actually, I'm sorry, this is a Caesar. So I can set my Caesar offset. I can pick any offset I want. Again, suggest the question and suggest points. So it tries to, we've spent a bunch of time thinking about what the points should be, and we've gotten some feedback on it. And if you find that we are wildly off on the points or have suggestions to where we should move the points or some balancing, let us know. We've been fixing it pretty quickly. We've done our at bash. Let's go in. We've got an aristocrat. We're going to skip a couple of these. Let's just go on to our nihilist. This is one of our new ones. So with the nihilist, we need to have a PBUS key and a keyword. Well, we have now the ability to suggest the keyword. And it will give you a bunch of choices. It actually limits the choices down to, so if you're doing a division A with the suggestion, it limits to words that are more appropriate for up to grade 5. Division B has more words, and then division C has an even larger set of words available to them. But we can come in here and we'll say, all right, we're going to take downstream as our PBUS key, and now we need a keyword. We're going to make it a little bit easier. We use a 3-letter keyword for this. We're doing a decode. It's there. It's built the problem. Suggest the question. Replace the question. Suggest the points. 126. Notice the block size is 0 with a key length of 3. Let's make the block size be 3. It's a little bit easier, so it's a lower score. We're going to set the points on that, and we are done. As you can see, for a lot of these, you're now focusing on, all right, how do I make the problem interesting for them? How do I make, but the system will give you lots of hints and suggestions on the keywords. So here's a K2. K2s are always a pain to get the keyword for. So we can come in here and suggest keyword. Now, the nice thing about the K2 is if you think about the way the alphabet works, it's very, very hard to find one that has all the letters that are mapped. And that has to do with the fact that on a K2, typically, J and Q don't exist, are not often in a quote. And so you need to have a span of letters that your keyword will fit in so that there's one there. So typically what that means is it's only going to be at the beginning, like an offset of 6 or 1 or 2 for mapping that keyword so it fits. And in fact, let me just show you with nightclubs here. If you look at this, you see nightclubs is spanning between G and P. I'll bet you there's no F in this. Man, I was telling are you kidding? Yeah, there's no F. There's a J in here, but there's no F in this. So therefore, we could not put it before this position. And since we know there's no Q, kind of stuck where the keyword can do. Guess what? You don't have to do that work. The system will make recommendations for you for keywords. If you don't like the keywords it picks, you can just simply keep regenerating until you find one that strikes your fancy. So we're going to use rule making, and the yellow ones mean that one of the letters is not going to be mapped. That means that the keyword is straddling like a Q or a J or some letter. In this case here, it would be an F, the keyword straddling that. So I'm just going to go ahead and use customize and offset in there. And now We're done. Suggest the question and suggest the points. Okay, this one here at K2 makes it a little bit easier. It's got a very low chi-square. Actually, it's got a high chi-square. I may have to go back and look at this one, but it's given you nominally this is what the point should be. We can save that, and let's go back. There's a couple other that we want to show you, and that is misspelled. Well, actually, let's do our cryptorhythms next. Cryptorhythms. You need to come up with a problem. And so if you click generate problems, gee, I need to try some words. So now we have this related words button. So we come in here and say, all right, I want something that is related to, let's see, cars. How about that? So then we come in here and we just copy them, paste them in, and I'm just going to look for A plus B equals C, search. It's going to find us phrases that might work. This one here, motor plus rear equals diesel. I don't like the phrase, but it's a nice, easy problem with a difficulty 2, ends in a 1-0. Those tend to be the easiest to deal with. But we're going to, wait, I saw hot plus wheel equals truck. Oh, that one's cute. I mean, that one's just a cute one that I'd love to use on a test. It's just too good not to use. Hot wheel truck. So now we've got our problem generated, and now we need to come up with the words. This is something we haven't gotten a recommendation for. It uses, we're going to have to use your brain power to figure out. Let's see, clock, and you need to tell them for something that they're going to pick up. Clock, clockwork. And what letters haven't we used? 1, 0. We haven't used a U. 3. We haven't used an E. And 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. TH. Oh, clockwork truth. All right, Jennifer, you had a question.
I just wanted to comment that sometimes I'll take those letters in the mapping and plug them into like an online Scrabble. What words can you make with these letters? And that's given me ideas for values to decode.
Yes, and we've thought about doing the Scrabble. And I keep going there. I'll tell you what I'm frustrated with those is they won't repeat a letter, right? And it's just like, no, I want you to just, here's my set, use this starting set, and you can repeat. But here's
just
one.
Paste it a couple of times. Paste the letters multiple times. That's what I do.
So that's the hardest part about doing a cryptorhythm now, right? It used to be a challenge. It's a lot easier. Now that we've got something, suggest a question, replace, suggest points. 186. We're done. Save it, go on to the next one. Now for my favorite. This has been the bane of my existence. Whenever I get a misspelled one, I find they're the hardest to generate. So in this case here, we are going to ask it to misspell it for me. So when you click misspell, you can say, all right, how much do I want for word replacement? I'm going to do all word replacement. So B is the only thing that it changed in here. So the blue shows you the words that it's replacing, and it's telling you nominally what the score would be for the misspelled. And we can come in here and say, all right, I want a lot of typos. And I can go to the extreme, make everything. So you can see this one here. I don't know if anybody could ever solve this. That's why it's a 622 points. But you have the ability to let it choose how many typos and how many homonyms that you want in your generator. What I find is sort of, I do it in 2 steps. I kind of do the homonyms first to get something that I'm happy with. And I'll just use this one. And then I'll come in and misspell it again. And instead of doing homonyms, I'll tell it to do typos, see what it looks like. So it gives you a lot of control. The typos are typically done by swapping the first 2 letters or swapping the last 2 letters. That's the most common typos that we see. It also will do doubling and removing of doubling of letters. But this makes it a lot easier for generating the misspelled, but it does try and keep it solvable, and it tells you what the potential score is going to be. So we've got that. Again, our favorite feature, suggest question. And it doesn't tell you that it's misspelled, so you have to, as a test writer, you need to come in, a friend of yours misspelled it, because we don't really know that the quote is misspelled. You're the only person that knows it. And then suggest points, set the points, and we go on and go to the next question. Now, nice feature we put in the Baconian. When you're doing a word Baconian, you want to have a pattern. So we've got a nice little button here now for setting the pattern. So I want it to be every 1, every 2, every 3. I can even toggle it so it's BBAA. So everything that's B goes BA. So this makes it a little bit easier for picking your patterns. No more clicking that AAA or making a mistake, which I've done once, where I had 3 A's, 3 B's, 3 A's, 3 B's, 2 A's, 3 B's. So this keeps you honest. It still doesn't do any magic here. We don't have any AI that figures out sentences that make sense. I haven't come up with anything that works real well, but it makes your job at least a bit easier in terms of managing them. So we've done that. Again, our suggest questions and suggest points. And we've got that done. So let's see. I want to show the new complete columnar. So we have the complete columnar in here. No, we don't need to translate. And the complete columnar, one of the things that we've put in here is, we've got our quote. We can figure out, let's go with 5 columns. Need to come up with a crib that's going to be in here. And we're going to go with about TAKE as our crib. We looked at the solver, and the solver is able to handle it. So that's a good hint that this is probably not a bad crib to use. But let's go ahead and randomize our column ordering. So you got a nice button in there that will generate a random column ordering. I can randomize it again. And solver's still able to solve it. Everybody figured out this pattern by now? Suggest question, suggest points, and we are done with that. So as you see, we've got pretty much all of the ciphers. In fact, all of the ciphers have this ability to suggest the question and suggest the points. Any place where there's a keyword, there is the suggest keyword that you would use for it. Now, one other feature that's important in here is adjusting the scores. In order to not have ties on your test, we have the ability to adjust the scores, and it's going to tell you, gee, I've got a whole bunch of, you see these yellows there? That's the idea behind this. In order to eliminate ties on a test, is you want to make it so that no 2 questions have the same score. And furthermore, no 2 questions have the same last digit if they're of the same type, or they have the same next to the tens digit if they're the same type. By distributing it that way, the likelihood of a tie drops down to very, very low. And so what this does is it helps you. And I'll point out that adjusting the score on a question by 20 points will not materially affect the outcome, right? Because everybody has that adjustment, but by adjusting it, you make sure that you don't have a tie. So in this particular case, I mean, you can see I have a bunch that I did not set the scores. I have a bunch of scores that are zeros. Let's just 172, 333, 42, 117, 129. I'm just arbitrarily putting scores in here just so we can, for 21, 135, 166, 277, and 388. Okay, so now we've got score. Oh, there's a 0 in there. 222 and 235 and 412. All right. So now we've got our scores. I've got some scores, just assume they were in there. And we can see in here, all right, on my aristocrats, says I have two problems and you always work on the 10 digits first. I have two problems that have a 1 as the tens digits. So let's find our aristocrat. There's a 412. And we look and see that, oh, well, I can move it down to a 0. So I'm going to make that 412 be 402. All right, we got rid of one of those. We're going to make this one that has a 3 be a 4. One of the aristocrats, that second digit's a 3. So we've got in here aristocrat 4. Let's see. Was that right? Yes. 3, 132.
17.
There it is. 433. Okay. 245. Now we've got some 7s. We're going to make this 7 be a 6. Why? Because there's something that's a 7, 172, 162. And this 8, we're going to bump it to a 9. And aristocrat 398. All right. So we've got that. And we've got one math one that's a 3. And you can see down here, we got 5 of these. So let's move this one to be a 4. So we want a math one that second digit's a 3. And right there, we're making that be a 4. All right. You can see how quickly you can do these scores. And then you do the same thing on the ones digits. And you'll end up being, right, all of these. See, we got aristocrats with a 2, going to be a 1 and a 0. So make that 400. And we have another aristocrat that ends in a 2, and we're going to be a 1. And then we got the 5s and the 2s. Everybody sees how to do that. What's nice is you'll end up with a test that your likelihood of tie is going to be very, very low. It's not guaranteed no ties, because there's nothing you can do if someone doesn't answer any questions at all. But that's getting to be pretty rare nowadays. Okay. Now, and by the way, you can click finish adjusting, but it saves it immediately. Next, we have made your life easier as test in terms of printing your test. When you're printing a test, you want to have the score sheet on the front to be single-sided. You want most of the test to be single-sided, except for the resource sheet, you want to be double-sided. Just trying to think about how do you save and optimize save paper. So we've come in here, we've got our test packet, and you'll notice we even give you the instructions now. You print this test single-sided. So if we print here, you can see it's going to be 12 pieces of paper. We have the score sheet on the front, and then we have the timed question and all the rest of the questions. So you're going to print this single-sided. You've got the resource sheet. You're going to print the resource sheet double-sided, and you're going to print one copy for each student, whereas the test you print single-sided, one copy for each team. The resource sheet, you print one copy for each student. Then we have your answer key, which you're used to, but now you're only going to print out one copy of the answer key because we now have the new tiny answer key. The tiny answer key still has the instructions on it, but all of the answers fit on 1 or 2 pages, depending on how long your test is. So the event supervisor, you want to give them the full answer key. That way there they can go and compare it to the page. But here you've now got the ability to go through and look at them. It makes it a lot easier when you're scoring the test to have that one sheet of paper with all the answers on it. And of course, we still have the answers and solutions that people can use. Now, one feature we have on the test that Randy and I use, and probably nobody else uses, custom header. We have the ability to put a custom header to change what prints out on the top of the test. But what we've used it for the past several years has only been to put a logo, a picture on the test. We think that's what most people want. So this is going to be relegated to an advanced, and there is something that's going to be added in the next day or two that allows you to upload an image, and then it will put the image in the upper right-hand corner of the test. So when you come to do the test, you print that, it'll show it up here in the top. We think that will be useful for people. If not, let us know, give us some feedback on that. Or if you really were using the customization, let us know now before we relegate it to the dustbin or make it really, really difficult for people to use. Okay, Randy, did I miss anything? Yes, I did.
That covered-
Oh no, we missed an important thing. For things that I went too fast, we now have a new YouTube channel. Everything that you want to do on the test, every single cipher type, we have a short 3 to 5 minute video that shows you how to do this on the test, including telling you how to print the test. That's a longer video. The balancing the scores is probably the longest video, 8 minutes and 31 seconds. But every other test type, any of the test types you can think of, we have a full video there that you can watch or suffer through in the case of me, that tells you how to do this on the test. And if you find things that you think we should put more videos up there, let us know. It turns out it's not too bad to go ahead and generate that. And see, we've got the full guide to ciphers, and with that, hopefully this should give everybody what they're looking for. We do have quotes that we will be distributing. Do not give them to teams or give teams access to it. We want to really use these quotes as much as possible. Oh, yes. When you pick a quote, it will take it out of the list for the next time you generate a test. So once you've loaded the quotes, it marks it and remembers what test it's on. So if at the end of the season, you go to the quote manager and you say export quotes and you send us the quotes exported, it means we'll know all the ones that you used on their test and we will go filter them out from the list. And we could put them into the sample English quotes for teams to use. If you have quotes you want to contribute, I know several people have been building up their own sets of quotes. I'm happy to integrate them into it and eliminate duplicates for you. All right. With that, do we have any questions? Anything's fair game. Jennifer.
How do we get the 20,000 event supervisor quotes?
So what we're going to do is I'm going to send them to Dan. Dan is going to put them on a Google Drive with a name that says, don't you dare share this with anyone under penalty of having to explain and answer all of the FAQs. And then what he will do is he will randomly pick one of them to share with you. And then you can download it and use it in this tool. And that will happen tomorrow, I believe. Right, Dan?
As far as I know, yes, I should be able to get those shared out tomorrow. So what I'll do is I will share them with the state directors. So your state director will have access to those. So you would contact the state director, not me, to get access to them.
And it's just a spreadsheet. That's the beauty of it. It's really, really simple. And I think everybody's figured out by now, everything is locally on your computer. There's nothing on the server. So there's no chance of the students going and finding that unless they have physical access to your computer. All right. I do encourage people, if you find issues, you have comments, if you think we need to balance the scores some more, if you're unhappy with those, put in an issue. We've been pretty responsive at fixing things, and some people have found some really cool ones along the way that we were surprised by. So let us know and we will fix it. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer.
I feel like I have your attention, so I want to ask my questions. But you've been very responsive. Thank you for this great tool. It's been super helpful. When you did the cryptogram and it rates the difficulty, have you guys thought about sorting it by difficulty? So if I know I want a difficulty 1, I don't have to page through looking for.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about, do me a favor. Do you know how to put an issue?
Yes.
Put an issue and suggest, hey, it would be nice if you would filter the difficulties or sort the difficulties. I'm thinking filtering might be easiest. And so you just simply put a check mark for, maximum and min difficulty, and we'll just show them. That actually turns out probably would be easier to do than sorting them.
Okay, great. And then on the Polybius keyword, one thing I like doing to make it harder is to have a duplicate letter in my keyword. So just like you have the blue and yellow offset, could you do something with a yellow, I'm gonna try it again, Polybius keyword, where it would have repeating letters?
It's possible.
Okay.
The reason why, put in a suggestion.
Okay.
That one's a little bit harder, and let me explain why. The way that the data is stored for all of the words that we know, it's stored based on the pattern of the word. And so a 9-letter word, the pattern is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And so it's stored based on that pattern. And so all of the 9-letter words, I'd have to find all of the possible patterns that make up 9-letter words and search that way in order to find it. So I have to think of some other way of doing that. It's just the way the data is stored. And I don't want to make a second copy of the data because that's, it's about a meg of data, and I know it'll slow down your browser. But if you put it on the list, maybe somebody along the way will come up with a brilliant idea of a faster way to go find them.
But Jennifer, you did remind me of something that's somewhat important. It suggests Polybius key. It suggests keyword, suggests point, suggests question. It's just a suggestion. You're free to change it. For example, some of the fractionated Morse, depending on the crib, it may give you more than you really want to provide as far as what the suggested mappings are for the known Morse based on that crib. So you can take one off. So they're just suggestions. So, and we took a shot at it. The point was to make it fast and easy for people to write tests.
It was much faster writing tests with this, so much appreciated.
Yeah, and we promise we're going to get the points wrong in places. But here's the interesting thing. At least it's wrong for everybody. I don't mean that in a bad way, right? We're trying to provide some consistency and make it easier, so that teams, when they go to nationals, they've nominally seen substantially the same thing from all the states. And for that reason, feedback as, well, I didn't realize we should have 16 questions. We've been running with 12 questions for our regionals. Shouldn't we, and that may be the case, right? If we found out that all the states finding they're only running with 12 questions, which I know that's not true, but something of that nature, if you provide us the feedback, then we can see how we can integrate it. Right? Anything else? It's all fair game. Well, with that, Dan, I will turn it over to you.
Awesome. John, I just want to thank you so much for all the hard work you and Randy and your team
Josh.
have done, Josh and Roger, all that you've put into this. It's an amazing tool. So thank you.